Welcome to Engage Your Tribe, a podcast about the art and science of audience engagement. I'm Jeremy Shere, and my guest is Will Davis, VP of Marketing at Workato. Will, it's great to have you on.
Thanks, Jeremy. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
So Engage Your Tribe is brought to you by Tribal Knowledge Podcasting. We are a full-service B2B podcasting agency, and we help brands use podcasting as a fun and efficient way to have authentic, non-salesy conversations with the buyers and decision makers you need to get to know to grow your business. You can learn more at tribknowledge.com. Okay, Will, so tell us a little bit about your background in marketing and about Workato.
Sure. So I've been in marketing, product marketing, various elements of marketing for the past probably 12 plus years. I had a pretty deep background in various layers of the data and analytics market, whether it's from data infrastructure at a company called Greenplum that got acquired by EMC that then got spun out into a public company called Pivotal. I also worked at a company that was in between sort of data infrastructure or databases and the end analysis company called Trifacta, which recently got acquired by Alteryx. And then prior to that, I worked at a few different companies that were in sort of the visualization analytics market, one called Clear Story Data, which also got acquired by Alteryx. So I have two Alteryx acquisitions under my belt. And then another company called Good Data. And so I had a lot of experience with pretty deep technical products, being able to develop go-to-market strategies around them, and marketing around them. And now at a company called Workato, which brings a little bit of the data background to play, but we're more focused on, process and experience automation, leveraging data. So it's a nice way to leverage my background, but also apply it to something new.
Okay. Now it sounds like Alteryx, like part of their strategy was to look for companies where you worked and then buy those companies.
I wish that was the case. I wish I was that significant in their M&A strategy. But I think it's just a likely coincidence. I actually didn't realize it till recently that both the companies had gotten acquired by Alteryx. I just had a little chuckle to myself around that.
All right. So now when we spoke earlier, you described your marketing strategy as going small to go deep. So what does that mean?
Yeah. So going into this year, we really wanted to focus our efforts around things that we know we did very well as a company, and from a go-to-market team perspective. So everything from marketing to sales to customer success and support. And so the beauty of Workato is that you can apply it to anything, right? We're an automation platform. You can integrate data and systems and also build really complex processes or experiences off of that. And so the limits of what you can do with Workato are essentially your imagination in terms of what you can apply the product to. And that it's funny, every time you talk to someone, like their strengths are also probably their weaknesses. And in the sense that as a strength of Workato's can also be a weakness in terms of we can do everything. So what do we actually focus on and develop from a content or market perspective? And so as we were moving into this year, the marketing leadership team, my boss, the CMO, Bhaskar Roy, he talked to a number of people in the industry. And one of the people we talked to was someone who is named Dan Rogers. He's currently the president at Rubrik. And prior to that was CMO of ServiceNow and had really done an amazing job of scaling ServiceNow from a market cap of, I think, around 10 billion to over 100 billion in the course of his time there. And the thing that he focused on was really around this concept of go-to-market plays, which is there's no concept of generic marketing. You actually take a few common problems you solve for your customers and you go extremely deep on them in terms of what are their challenges, who are the different personas, what's the target market. You essentially take the things that you're best at as a product and go-to-market team and just double down all of your effort around that and then develop these go-to-market pods that focus on that, essentially go-to-market channel for you. And that's a pod of people that crosses over from product marketing to demand gen to content to enablement to sales to CSM to all those things. And that's essentially cross-functional leadership group that thinks about that play as essentially their performance, right? So everything from awareness you generate, pipeline you generate, the sales you generate from that play, you have this cross-functional team that is working to make that as successful as possible and almost maniacally focused on just that. And I think that takes you from this world of we have a horizontal platform, there's a lot of features and product that we can talk about, to taking something that is very specific, a very specific problem that you solve for a broad audience that you do extremely well, and just having the best people across different teams double down and focus on that. And when Dan was telling us about his experience at ServiceNow and deploying this strategy, he essentially would drive investment from a marketing perspective in terms of what teams were doing the best. So he had multiple plays, right, across these different problems we were solving with teams that were driving these plays. And he would look at the performance and then essentially say, oh, this team is performing well, I'm going to increase my investment or increase the funding for that team based on how well they're performing. And as you're a scaling business and you're looking for every competitive edge, every level of efficiency, it's interesting to think about that in terms of not only developing like healthy competition across teams, but also driving investment in terms of what's actually performing best, and having a very easy and sense to actually track that and drive it. Yeah.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I think maybe like one concern some people would have with that approach is like, well, we're missing other opportunities. If we're just kind of narrowing in and focusing here, what about this? What about that? Are we not leaving those opportunities on the table? Like, how would you respond to that concern?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So there's two ways that we have addressed that. I think there's one which with each of the, so we have at Workato 3 distinct segments of our business. Each of those segments has a core set of plays that are based on historical data. And then within each of those segments, we also invest in sort of one play that we call a flyer play or an experimental play, where it's something we see in the market or something we've seen early signs and data that we want to invest in it as if it's a play in its own right to see if it will stick. And so that's one way we'll take something that maybe hasn't been proved out historically or proved out in the data, but we see a market opportunity for ourselves there, and we align to a play to sort of see if that will stick. So that's one thing. And then, any marketer, you always have overhead in term, or you create some level of space in both how you allot for your time and how you define goals to do things that come up. Whether it's rapid response in PR or different things that you just need to take on as they come about. And so with that, we do create some space that if there are things that we see, generating from the market or from the field or something that's happened that we want to invest in as almost a mini play, we'll still invest there, but making sure that like the broader organization knows that there are core things that we're focused on and getting everyone aligned on that. And both from like how we generate awareness to like how our field is enabled on those plays to be experts in them is really helpful and also changes the conversation from a product oriented one to one that's solving a customer's problem. And I think there's been a lot of value to that.
Okay, that's cool. So it's not like you're not ignoring other opportunities. You're experimenting with them and trying to get some data. Is it worth pursuing this or not?
Exactly.
Makes total sense. Okay. So what's an example of what going small to go deep looks like in practice?
Sure. So, as I mentioned before, Workato is a automation platform there's a lot of, everyone does automation now, but what we are really good at is if there are processes that cross over multiple applications or systems and multiple people that are somewhat standard that happen all the time in your organization, and you can create an automation to make that process be much more efficient, much more scalable, much more accurate over time. Then you also can sort of tune it over time as things change and as you want to make that more efficient. So that's a really high level example of what we do and what we're really good at. For companies, what that looks like, it could be anything from some process in finance to a process in marketing. But an example that I think would resonate for everyone is about how you onboard employees. So if you look at whether you're a small startup or whether you're a large multinational organization, every time you hire someone, they need to get access to systems, they need to get equipment, they need to get the right level of access controls across the organization. You might need to mail them different swag or things like that. There's all these steps that need to happen for a person to sort of be onboarded effectively.
Yeah.
And that is a pretty standard process. Yes, you might apply different types of systems and different types of onboarding depending upon their role, their level, what functional department they're in, but you have to do it every time someone joins. And so the way we looked at one of the plays was that, and because we're really good at that, and a lot of our customers use Workato for automating the employee onboarding process, is we just talked to a ton of different customers that are using us for that, and really got into what are their pains, what are their roles, why they buy Workato, and really got into the weeds of their motivations, their pains, everything that they thought about, and all the benefits that we've applied to them, and use that to develop all of the core product marketing materials in terms of like, here's our target market, here are our target personas, here are the pains that they're solving, here are other solutions they may be using already that aren't working for them, or other solutions that they may be using that we can connect into. So it just gets you the depth that you need to get to be effective, to then just like really drive a truck through that from a go-to-market perspective and do that effectively. And then it also gives your sales teams, as you do that knowledge, it arms them with the material that they can go have a conversation with someone in a way that gives them confidence that we actually understand their pain and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a prime example of that. And we've done that, across segments and across these different plays, as I mentioned before.
Okay, great example. Thanks for that. Now, to switch gears a little bit, another very cool thing that you guys are doing is you are planning a podcast.
Yeah.
Which makes me very happy, because I just love to see companies doing podcasts. So tell us a little bit about it. What's the concept, and why add a podcast to your marketing lineup? What's it going to add?
Yeah. So it's still very much in the discovery phase in terms of how we're going to apply it. So I'll leave that there. But
Sure.
We're fortunate enough to have a lot of different, to have exposure to a lot of different leaders, both in the technology space and then in other areas of business or sports entertainment. So we have advisors at Workato. They're actually general managers of sports teams, right? We got connected to them, and there's a lot of concepts that we can bring this podcast out when it comes to organizational leadership. How do you deal with change? How do you deal with being resilient in the face of challenges and things of that nature? So there will be an element of it which is going to be focused on sort of, these automation leaders that are taking operational processes, taking experiences and applying automation to them in a unique way. But I think there's also going to be a focus of it where it's how do we talk to, leaders across different, businesses or industries, and how do they approach leadership? How do they approach resilience? How do they approach the things that you need to be effective as an organization around like adapting and growing as teams? And our CEO is really passionate about those elements of leadership. And I think he's going to blend those two pretty well in the podcast.
Okay. Very cool. Well, best of luck with that. We look forward to checking it out. Okay. A few quick questions here at the end.
Sure.
What's been your main focus so far in Q1?
Well, Q1 was the big focus of getting these plays launched. We just had our sales kickoff this week, and our team has been really cranking on not only defining the plays, doing the research to define them, but also all the material that we can provide to other members of our marketing teams, to our enablement teams, to our sales teams to go then operationalize those. So that's been a huge focus of ours so far in Q1. And Q1 for us just started in February. So we're just in the beginning of Q1 for ourselves. But then I think the higher level goals that we have for the year are around awareness. So we have this internal phrase that we call paint the world teal. Our brand colors are teal. And so we look for creative and unique opportunities to generate awareness for Workato. And so one of the ways that we did that, which I can't imagine a better way to do that, was we announced customer awards actually this week. We called them the Unstoppable Awards, and recognized 12 customers that have done just amazing work with Workato and automation across their organizations, and made a big splash with them. We actually had all of the award winners get highlighted on the NASDAQ tower in New York City. And some of them even flew across the country to go take a selfie with them on the NASDAQ tower, which was pretty amazing. So generally awareness is a huge one for us, and our team in product marketing, we mostly focus on that through through our customers.
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one, the big focus of us for the year is going to be on these plays and driving pipeline and demand through the plays. So as I mentioned before, the plays aren't just a product marketing function. It's actually a go-to-market function, and pipeline is going to be the major measurement for those, and that will drive the investment, as I talked about earlier. And then the third one that we're really focused on is category definition. So I'm sure as you talk to a lot of marketers, category is just a huge concept, and we are not unique in that. In that way, we are trying to develop this new category of our approach to automation that's very different from others that we refer to as enterprise automation, and doing a lot of thought leadership and content, and also highlighting how our product is unique in that respect, and how it is, aligned to this new emerging category of enterprise automation that not only we are in, but a lot of other vendors are joining as well.
Okay. All right. You guys got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Very good. So what are the top 3 KPIs that your boss monitors most closely?
Yeah. So KPIs, pipeline is number one as a marketer. I mean, I think that's the one thing that we focus on a ton. We are getting a little bit more sophisticated with attribution from not only pipeline created, but attribution in terms of closed revenue. So that's something that we are investing a lot of time and energy into. And then awareness metrics. So whether that's share of voice, whether that's website traffic, SEO, social media following and engagement, we all have really narrowed in metrics around that. And then one of the things that my team focus on, I think in product marketing, I think about product marketing, and someone told me this a long time ago, is that you're going to make every function of your go-to-market engine work more effectively or more efficiently. So how you generate awareness, to how you generate pipeline, to how effectively that pipeline moves through your funnel, to then how you're able to upsell and cross-sell customers. And so as part of that, we look at the pipeline close rates. We look at cycle times. We also look at when new reps join, what's the ramp time it takes for a new rep? What is the success rate of reps, and things of that nature? And then we also look at upsell rates, how we can apply some of the plays that we're doing to upsell motions and things of that nature. So there's a lot of different metrics that we look at, but I try to chop it down into what's the marketing funnel, and are we actually providing incremental value in each of them to improve that and make them more efficient. Okay,
excellent. And finally, and I think you already addressed this partly, but what do you and your team hope to accomplish throughout the course of this year?
Yeah, it's those 3 things. We want to paint the world teal. We want to drive these go-to-market plays. And I think the one thing I didn't touch on is talking about business impact for them. I think, it's great if you solve an employee onboarding problem for a customer, but then how do you then document how that's actually impacted their business, from speed, from efficiency, from error rates, from, all these different things. Document that and then promote that. So that's one thing we are, actively trying to beef up, both our references and also how we promote that as part of our other overall marketing. And then category. We really need to focus on developing this category across our team.
Okay, excellent. Well, great luck with all of that. And thanks so much for your time and for a great discussion.
Thanks, Jeremy. Appreciate it.